Many of us remember the moment that Joe Biden stuck his foot in his mouth when he said this.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Well, as you can imagine, a lot of people didn't think that that was right and were pretty outraged by that comment, including many black speakers that were at the Republican convention last week. Utah congressional candidate and Super Bowl champion Burgess Owens made a point to talk about that during his speech. Take a listen.
We have a Democratic candidate for president who says that I'm not black if I don't vote for him. Now more than ever, we need leaders who stand by their principles and won't compromise their values for political opportunities. Now more than ever, we need leaders who will stand up to the lawlessness supported by the radical left.
Well, let's bring in the man himself, Burgess Owens. Burgess, welcome to the show. Congratulations on a phenomenal speech last week.
Thank you, Sean. I'm just so excited about being part of that week of hope and light and excitement. And that's true the American way. I'm glad so many Americans had a chance to see the difference in the last 2 weeks, for sure.
Right. You know, if you listen not just to Joe Biden when he made those comments that you reacted to, but also to many in the media, there's this stereotype that if you're black, well, you got to be a Democrat. You got to be supporting Joe Biden, don't you? What was the reaction to your speech since you got up there and joined so many other prominent black Americans in different parts of the communities and professions and spoke so eloquently about why you're supporting President Trump?
Well, you know, Sean, what's happening, it's not just my speech. It was a total tone of the Republican Party. It was finally had a chance to, many people had a chance to see for the first time. And that was one of hope, as I mentioned before. And it's been an uptick. There's over 9%, I heard there's a 9% uptick now of black Americans who are now leaving Democratic Party or looking to now vote for President Trump. And this is something that was happening before now. When you have the kind of success that President Trump had going in before the COVID of lowest unemployment for blacks, Hispanics, Asians, women, and veterans, and all the other things, people, no matter what color they are, love the American dream of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. What's happening now is black Americans, Hispanic Americans, gay Americans are waking up and realize we've been lied to for years. And once we understand that, we won't go back. We're advocates now for the American way. And I think it's going to be a tremendous opportunity for all Americans to come together to vote for our dreams, our hopes, and aspirations versus the dark, divisive, destructive ways of the Democratic Party, which has always been the case. This is their history. That's what they do. They use, abuse, and discard. And finally, black Americans are truly waking up. I'm so excited to be part of that process and seeing it happen.
You know, Burgess, you clearly touched a nerve with your speech last week. Tiffany Cross was sitting in for Joy Reid on her show. This is what she had to say about the convention.
I watched the Republican convention, and seeing the slew of black speakers that they had, it really did look like a modern day minstrel show to me.
Burgess, what is it? What do you say when you get a reaction like that?
Well, first of all, this is so old school. It doesn't work anymore. And what people need to recognize is the success that I had growing up in my Deep South Tallahassee segregated community, in which we led the country in so many different areas. Men matriculate from college, the entering the middle class. Our greatest enemy has always been not white supremacists, but black elitists, like the ones you just saw a minute ago. These are people that live the American dream. They put their kids in the greatest schools possible, and they pass laws specifically to keep the poor and keep them hopeless. These are the worst. This is the worst of Americans. Now, when I say this, elitists, black and white elitists across the board who care less about we the people. And what you see here is example, and this is why I'm so excited about running in this case here. I've seen what these people do to my community. I saw it back 60 years ago, 50 years ago. I refuse to allow it to sit back and allow them to do that to our country and to my great state of Utah. So we're excited about showing these folks who they are. They're elitists. They're the worst of the worst. They're the Marxists and socialists that have undermined my community for decades. And we'll make sure that we now see who they are, and they will not do that for our country.
You know, Burgess, when you're out there campaigning in Utah and you're talking about why you're a Republican and why you're supporting President Trump, what's the reaction within the black community? Are they willing to listen to your pitch, or do they dismiss it out of hand?
Well, we have across the board, there are people that are good people, Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, well, I'll say Democrats and Independents, that have really listened to the other side, but they're now beginning to wonder and ask those questions. And probably the best thing that happened to our country was President Obama. He was such a lousy president that so many people are now looking at and wondering whatever happened to hope and change. We're asking those questions. Why are we not better now than we than we were before? Why are we more divisive now? Why are we more angry now? Why do we have more black racists coming out now than ever before? So here in Utah, we have a culture that truly looks at each other inside out versus outside in, because we have so many of our young people go out and serve for 2 years and they come back and they really understand the idea of our empathy. So it's really about the values. It's about the values that I grew up in that's resonating here. And it's not about a color. It's about America first, God, industry, small businesses, and the family unit, and education. Those are things that really resonate here. And I think across the country it will happen the same way. And once we get back to those basics, I can promise this, Sean, anyone who focuses on those tenets, education, God, industry, and family, are one generation away or less from the middle class. And that's what we have to fight for. That's what the hard left is fighting against. And if we get that done, America will be such a great place of promise that people will be able to finally experience it, no matter what their background might be or color.
Well said. Burgess, let me ask you this. You had a very successful football career. You've done very well. Beyond that, what made you want to get into politics and run for office?
That's a good question, because when I left the game, my mission, my long-term mission, was to work with at-risk kids, because I saw what was happening, the trajectory of my community back even in the early 80s. So I came here to do that, to make sure that these kids coming out of the juvenile system have a chance to really understand the American way. And I realized about a year ago that the kids we work with here and across this country, the millions of them, do not have a chance as long as the left holds on to the House, because that's what the policies have set. And it's policies that keeps our young people ignorant, keep them angry, keep them jobless, keep the families turned upside down. It's policies. And they've been going at it for 50, 60 years. And those policies have had its impact. You see it now in Baltimore, in Chicago, wherever Democratic people are, their leadership, black particularly, those elitists, you see nothing but misery. So that's what I'm fighting against. I want to make sure that we get a team. And if I can just say this, Sean, we have a remarkable team of freshman candidates. Whoever they are in your area, please turn out and vote for them. We get this team, we get the House back. You're going to see a brand spanking new day of patriots that are going to be supporting our president, putting backbone in our Senate, and we'll see a renaissance in this country that we've never seen before as Americans begin to win again. So give us a chance, guys, and I promise you, we will do our job, and you'll be proud of the representation you put into Congress.
All right. That's a great pitch there. Congratulations again on a phenomenal speech. Be safe on the campaign trail, and best of luck in the next 60 days.
Thank you, my friend.
All right.
Burgess for Utah.
You bet,
BurgessForUtah.com. Thank you, buddy.